The sun was just beginning to rise over the quiet town of Maple Ridge, casting long, golden rays across the hills and rooftops. At the far edge of town stood a modest, weathered farmhouse painted a faded shade of blue. It was here, nestled between wind-blown fields and the rustle of oak trees, that 12-year-old Emma lived with her parents and her best friend in the world, Max. Max was a golden retriever, gentle-eyed and honey-colored, with a spirit so full of love it overflowed into everything he did. He'd been with Emma since she was 4, gifted to her by her grandfather on her birthday. From the very first moment they met, when Max, a floppy-eared puppy, tumbled into her lap, it was as if they had known each other forever. They did everything together, climbing trees, chasing butterflies, snuggling under blankets during thunderstorms. Wherever Emma went, Max followed, his tail wagging like a soft metronome of joy. He wasn't just a pet, he was family. He was home. One summer morning, the family packed up the car and headed to Uncle Gary's mountain cabin, a cozy place nestled deep in the woods nearly 200 miles away. Max, as always, rode in the back seat with his head out the window, ears flapping in the wind, eyes half closed in bliss. When they arrived, the forest air was thick with pine and birdsong, and the family settled in quickly, lighting a fire and roasting marshmallows as twilight fell. That night, as everyone slept, a storm rolled in fast and violent. Wind howled through the trees, rain lashed the windows, and thunder cracked the sky open like a whip. Max, terrified of storms since he was a puppy, began to panic. Somehow, the cabin's front door, not properly latched, creaked open. In his fear, Max bolted out into the night, disappearing into the trees like a shadow swallowed by the storm. The next morning, they realized he was gone. Emma's scream echoed through the woods as she ran barefoot into the trees, calling his name again and again. Her parents followed close behind, but all they found were a few muddy paw prints near the edge of the trail, washed out by the rain. They stayed 3 more days, searching, putting up signs, checking local shelters, even leaving his favorite blanket on the porch in hopes he'd catch the scent and return. But Max was nowhere to be found. Emma was inconsolable. The ride back home felt unbearably long. Every time they passed a golden shape in a field or saw a dog by the road, her heart leapt, only to be crushed again. At home, she placed his collar on her nightstand and clutched it each night, whispering through tears, "Please come home, Max." Her world felt quieter, duller, less alive. But far from Maple Ridge, in the vast and unfamiliar woods, Max had survived the storm. Cold, soaked, and disoriented, he huddled beneath a fallen tree until the thunder faded. He had no idea where he was or how far he'd come, but something within him, something deep and instinctual, pulled him in a direction. It wasn't a clear path, it was a feeling, a memory of home, the scent of Emma's hands, the softness of her voice, the way her laughter wrapped around him like a hug. He didn't know the way, but he knew he had to find it. So he walked. He avoided roads at first, traveling by night through woods and fields. He crossed creeks with trembling paws, followed train tracks through unfamiliar towns, and scavenged for scraps behind diners and gas stations. People would sometimes catch glimpses of him, a skinny retriever with wary eyes, darting behind trash bins or lying under porches. A few tried to coax him close with food, but Max always backed away. He wasn't looking for food or shelter. He was looking for her. The journey was long and cruel. He lost weight. His fur became matted and dull. One day, a car startled him, and he slipped down a ditch, twisting his paw. For days, he walked with a limp, his breath shallow with pain. On another night, a pack of coyotes chased him through a cornfield. He ran until his lungs burned, then collapsed in the cold. But somehow, he always got back up, always kept moving forward. The road was full of danger and loneliness, but Max's heart beat with one word, over and over: home. Weeks turned into months. Winter arrived with biting winds and snow that blanketed the land in silence. Max shivered through icy nights, curling beneath hay bales, huddling near the vents of roadside buildings. And still, he pressed on. Then one bright morning, as the air finally began to warm and tiny green shoots pushed up through the frost, Max found himself walking along a quiet country road. The scents here were different, familiar. His ears perked, his eyes searched. A passing breeze brought something that stopped him in his tracks. Emma's father's scent. Faint, but undeniable. With a sudden burst of energy, Max began to run. His legs ached. His pads were raw, but he didn't stop. He followed the winding roads past familiar fences, across the bridge where Emma used to ride her bike, and finally he turned the corner onto a gravel lane. The trees parted, and there it was, the blue farmhouse. Max staggered forward, his limbs trembling with exhaustion. He limped down the driveway and collapsed, too tired to make a sound, his eyes fixed on the front porch. Inside, Emma was sitting at the window, sketching a picture of Max from memory. She had drawn him 100 times since he vanished, always with the same soft eyes, always with the same silent question in her heart. Where are you? She looked up and froze, her pencil dropped. She burst from the house barefoot, her drawing flying away in the wind. Her breath caught as she reached him, fell to her knees, and wrapped her arms around his thin, shaking body. Tears fell into his fur. Max, she whispered. You came back. You came home. Max let out a soft whine and licked her face, his tail twitching with the last bit of strength he had left. He was home. He was safe. He was hers again. They rushed him to the vet. He was dangerously underweight, dehydrated, with a fractured paw and signs of frostbite. But he was alive, and he had traveled more than 400 miles on nothing but loyalty and love. The vet shook her head in disbelief. I've never seen anything like it, she said. This dog didn't just survive. He found his way home. Emma never left Max's side during his recovery. She fed him by hand, gently cleaned his wounds, and slept beside him every night. And Max, with every wag of his tail, every nuzzle of his nose, showed her what she already knew. He would have crossed the whole world to get back to her. Spring came in full bloom. Max healed slowly but surely. The light returned to his eyes, and his steps grew stronger. One morning, under the same tree where they used to play, Emma threw a ball across the yard. Max chased it. He wasn't as fast as before, but he ran with joy. He ran with love. He ran with the heart of a dog who had seen the worst of the world and still chose to believe in the best of it. And as Emma knelt beside him, pressing her forehead to his, she whispered, You never gave up on me. Max didn't need to speak. His journey had said it all. Moral message: a dog's loyalty knows no limits. When love calls, the heart will always find the way home.